Perpetual incarceration machine is so mean. This can't be life that we choose to live in. If I had one wish, I would wish that we could live our dream. To break the chains of the psychological war.
I come from Newburgh. Yes. I come from trapping crawfish with a bucket.
I come from 2 weeks ago through the barbed wire fence.
I come from ground, gutter. I come from where the creek is full and runs like a river. I come from summertime. I come from green.
A lot of spoken word is really just saying I come from. Where you come from. I come from my favorite pair of jeans. I come from my favorite color being blue. I come from blueberry pie. I come from Louisville. I come from basketball. Whatever that is that you are.
I come from make me work harder.
I grab pieces of paper at work and paper towels and I write poetry and I write small excerpts for kids. And I do mainly the things that I need to do in order to maintain myself in these places. So, you know, writing helps. Writing is everything for me, and it's my creativity, it's my escape, it's how I fly.
I come from you'll be here forever.
Much tonight.
Yeah, same old.
Y'all making video today?
Yeah. My name is Clinton Brewer L. I'm from Paducah, Kentucky. I'm the third oldest son from Margaret and Cameron Brewer, which are my parents. My situation of incarceration is somewhat complicated, but to get straight to the point, I was ultimately convicted of murder, where a life was taken, not by my hands or thoughts, and I was given a life sentence.
Who am I? I am the unforgiven who needs most forgiving. I am a spirit from the everlasting past into the never-ending days to come. I am the descendant of kings. I am that which society said that I am not.
I've been in prison 13 and a half years. My whole adult life has been spent in prison behind these bars. So I owe my family, I owe mankind, and I owe society a debt.
I am that who has been bound. I am that who has been bruised. I am that who through love has been forgiven. I am he who has now begun living.
I most definitely need and want to rectify my wrongs against mankind and my family. I hurt a lot of people in my wake and in my path of destruction. So I feel like a debt is owed, to society and mankind. Yes. And in my honest opinion, I believe it destroyed my mother, me getting this time, and I really don't think she's been the same since. She won't say it because she's a strong woman, but I think the time destroyed her more than it done to me.
In order to be redeemed, you must find you. Find your inner being and find what's true. Only then can you see what I see, because all I see is freedom.
I see a lot of young guys come in and out of here with not a care in the world on their mind. and they don't really realize the depth of the situation. You know, it's just real. When your letters stop coming, and your visits stop coming, and your money stops coming, and you can't pick that phone up and call home and somebody push 3, ultimately it's you in these places that you have to deal with. It is your sanity that's on the line. So if you do not have the ability to deal with yourself and stay strong and maintain strength, you will lose your mind in these places.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good. Cause all I see is freedom in this rat race of constant grind and redemption, looking to find what it is that makes us worthy of redemption. But it's easy if we just listen. With periodic moments of clarity, even the blind get opportunities to see, but so many of us ignore the knock at the door and still insist that we're this straight up G. But still, all I see is freedom. How can you elevate when all you do is take, and your mainframe overloads every time you make a mistake because you have taken from humanity, while at the same time gripping insanity? And in my vicinity, the free walk, independent, upright, and fearless, uplifting fallen humanity and staying about the business. In order to be redeemed, you must find yourself. Only then can you see what I see, because all I see is freedom.
That's one test off stroke center. And Bill Candy on grounds with one.
Who can tell you about the ghetto better than one who was born in and of the ghetto? I'm talking about one whose heart beats with the same pulse and rhythm as these grimy ghetto streets, where the grim realities of slums and back alleys produce nothing but victims and casualties. I was born in Lebanon, Kentucky at Mary Immaculate Hospital. My mother had a wreck before I could walk or talk. When my father came and retrieved me and my sisters and my brother and moved us to Illinois, which is where I was raised at initially. I came back to Kentucky when I was like 12 years old, something like that. And when I got back to Kentucky, by the time I got back to Kentucky, I guess the environment of Illinois, which was more open and street, was embedded in me, and I got committed to the Department of Human Resources at the age of 13. And I've been like in and out of trouble ever since. Who can tell you about the ghetto better than one who was born in and of the ghetto? I'm talking about one who was raised up in these bricks that some call the Jets, but in reality, they ain't nothing but governmental experiments labeled as the projects, specifically designed to confine and confuse young, impressionable minds and to examine and detect future leaders and warriors who are to be marked for death or to be banished into these modern-day slave plantations called prison. Legalized incarceration and separation from your family and friends, sent off to spend 10 or more years in the pen and conditioned to be returned again and again and again, filled with so much hatred, resentment, and revenge that it allows anger, darkness, and madness to descend into the deepest recesses of the human soul that has been turned cold by years of being subjected to this process. The stuff that I write or that comes through me, I just feel it in my whole being. It's like a essence thing. It's like my entire being feels uplifted. Now, parental discretion is advised. That's right. Parental discretion is advised, because anytime you begin to speak about history rather than his story, man, it's gonna be bloody and it's gonna be gory. For you see, the process at its primitive best, back in the days when our ancestors like Kunta Kinte was put to the test, the process, it would choose the very best warriors, the ones who were feared, loved, and honored by all the rest. And they would take those warriors to the middle of town square, where they would beat those warriors like they beat Jesus. Even now we find young, impressionable minds that are born in this new era of time, where we find no physical binds upon our hands and our feet to remind us of the blood, sweat, and guts that have been mingled in the dust of the USA. We find that the effects of the process have still yet to go away, and nor will they just poof, magically go away. For you see, the effects of the process, they have got to be torn down and thrown away, unless we'll be forever trapped in the process of yesterday. It's time to wake up. And yes, this is a wake-up call. So wake up, wake up, wake up. My people, wake up.
Incarceration in the United States.
In total, 6,977,700 adults are under correctional supervision, probation, parole, or prison, a number equivalent to 2.9% of the U.S. adult population.
The prison population of the United States is by far the largest in the world.
Just under 1/4 of the world's prisoners are held in American prisons.
When you come into prison, your identity is taken away, and you're given a number, and that's what you're referred to, and that number is an anonymity, and there you are in the great mass on a yard that's overcrowded, with very little to do over 24 hours. So a lot of guys just get into trouble.
An estimated 67.5% of prisoners released in America are rearrested within 3 years.
It's like you come outside and the only thing that you see is drug dealers and gangbangers, and and if there's no system set up in place that counterbalances that, then I mean, there's always exceptions to rules, but for the majority, they're gonna come down this road, the same pathway.
When you're in a system that is not built, to see you succeed, it's very easy to find yourself making choices that will lead you to a place such as this.
Inmates in Kentucky's arts programs behind bars have a recidivism rate of less than 10%.
When you let a man out, they have to be ready to be out, and they have to be prepared to be out. And that's the work that we prison arts practitioners do. That's the work we're interested in, is the human being that's going to come back out, because we want them to live an honorable life.
People often ask me, why do you do this? Why do you go into prisons? Or why do you go into even juvenile facilities and help these kids? And I say, because I want to help the kid that didn't get helped when I was a kid. A lot of times the institutions tell their story, or the system tells their story, or their families tell their story. And voices inside, they tell their story in the way that's most comfortable to them. Let's do a little bit. I know some of you are already doing spoken word, and what I like to do when I first meet a group of guys is just sort of put a question out there that we can sort of chew on and sort of see where we are as we come into the group. And so my question, what would you say, if you had to fill in the blank, a writer is, how would you fill that in? And why do you write? So, I mean, whoever wants to jump on that. Why do you write, Stephen?
I want to reach who I'm trying to find who I am. That's basically why I write. Okay? We are always struggling against each other, We always crashing against each other and we can't figure it out. The writers, the artists are the ones who show us who we are so that maybe we can learn from it, grow from it.
I think a writer is just like everybody else, somebody who wants to be heard, right? But they're the one who actually has the boldness to speak out and do it and put all that stuff out there.
A lot of my spoken word poetry is the inner city. So I hope that someone will get like the idea, or some young one get the idea of don't walk where I walk. Montez Hossel from Louisville, Kentucky. I got here from a deep-rooted self-hatred that manifested when I took a life. I come from a single-parent household. My mother, she was our rock. I'm not gonna make any excuses. I think I was angry. I was angry at a lot of things, you know. I was angry of why my father wasn't there, why did he live around the corner, and why did he never come to check on me. So when the outlet came for violence, that's what came, you know, hurting people hurt other people. But today I'm using creativity to keep that man suppressed, the violent man suppressed. Let us move on and leave the drugs and guns alone. I know at the present we see nothing wrong, but we're destroying somebody's home. You know, when I create something, it's a part of who I am. Parents, let us remember, the children don't raise us. We raise the children. We can't continue to let the streets claim and kill them and stay involved in their lives until we bring tender love and Christian fulfillment. There's some good in me. Overlooking the paperwork. On paper, I'm a monster. You look me up on the land, I'm a monster, but there's some good in me.
The most important thing is for people to be able to say, in spite of who I am, in spite of what I've done, I still count, I'm still a person. So what I really like to do first is I like to go, hey, you're a creative person. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. Now let's put that creativity in a different way. Don't get rid of the creativity. The creativity itself is not, there's nothing wrong with that. Just redirect it. Good. No, I stopped because we could walk all day. Good. All right, I just wanted us to warm up and sort of get a little energy flowing. It's good. It's good.
The creek in my head.
I'm from Malcolm Ways and Martin's hips. Strong by my father's rod, but blessed through parted lips. But there was no ring or flowers, just a lullaby to sing me to a colorless dream.
Can't write in pen. I gotta write with it. I gotta have a pencil, and it's only gonna come to me like through silence. I need a bit of silence, you know, and I just need an inch of space, you know, just of my loneliness, so I can talk to myself and look at a wall without people think I'm crazy, and just hear it and keep saying the same words, and find rhythm to them, and then the poem will start taking shape. You know, I don't worry about it rhyming. You know, if it's natural and it's coming out flowing, it's gonna have a natural flow to it anyway.
I search for angels while feasting on manna. Tiny questions, all my answers in heaven's grasp. A sightless man with a runaway slave's past and a white kid's future, jeopardizing tomorrow drinking out of a half-full liquor bottle. I, like a drifter in an endless puddle, crying about a ripple, cynical minded.
That's nice, man. Yeah. That's nice. When did you write that?
I wrote that a minute ago.
My name is Andrew Phillips. I'm 29 years old. I was conceived in violence. My father forced himself on my mother and got her pregnant. I was raised in a home of innocence, an orphanage in Louisville, Kentucky. I never met my dad until I was 5 years old. He came and took me from the foster home. When I was around 7, I went to live with him. I love him so much, but we never really got along. When I was 15, me and some guys from my neighborhood was riding around on bicycles looking to buy some marijuana. During the transaction, my friend took the marijuana and ran. There was a scuffle. The seller came after me and I pulled out a gun. I fired shots. He was hit multiple times. I fled and threw the gun away. I wasn't apprehended until like 3 years later. I was charged with murder, robbery, and tampering with physical evidence. I was given 30 years at 85%. I've been in prison for 10 years. It happened when I was 15 years old, riding around on my bicycle. I left my bicycle at the scene of the crime.
I have this exercise called I Come From, and basically all you do is fill in the blank, okay? And and again, you don't have to overthink it, and like it says, like my favorite color, not to be your favorite color, but it can be a color you really like, something that makes you proud, something that makes you laugh, something you're ashamed of, so it covers all of these gamuts of things. Something mean somebody said, so just fill in those blanks, and then we'll do the next part. Right, and again, don't overthink it, just put stuff in the blanks.
Are we writing on this?
Yeah, that's you. I love this exercise because everybody's a poet. Everybody, even though they don't know necessarily, oh, I can't do spoken word, I don't have any art in me. But what's great about this is everybody realizes they have art in them, and the uniqueness of who you are is what makes you a poet, what makes you a writer.
And it just makes you understand, man, this is just, where I come from. And a lot of times people look at somebody like Keith McGreal, he's artsy, he's talented, and that you don't know he comes from the same background as that you come from.
You just put I come from in front of every noun. Right, so for me it'd be I come from Louisville, Kentucky. I come from hamburgers. I come from laying outside, right? It's mine. I come from, this is me. This is who I am. This is what makes me me, And then in that way, you have to own it. It's yours. And you just read it. Okay, so that's all we're going to do. Wow. Right? Good. All right. You guys? Good?
I come from a foreign country. I come from medium rare steak.
I come from Chicago, Illinois. I come from lobster tails.
I come from lasagna.
Buckets, trapping crawfish.
I come from not graduating high school.
I come from last year.
I come from Africa.
I come from, some kid will say they learned something from me.
I come from in prison. I come from bounce back. I come from
watching the sunset on TV.
That was excellent, man. That was excellent. Yeah. The thing about this and putting it down on paper, and one of the things we do as writers, you have to own all of this. This is all, all of the stuff that shame, but then also that thing you're proud of. The thing that was mean, but also the compliment. And all of those belong to you. Thank you all so much for letting me come in here, for trusting me with your words, with your lives, basically.
If these programs would be applied to all inmates, you would solve, the incarceration problem within half a generation. None of us are special, okay? And like you said, we took the time, we took, the time to open up ourselves And so many men in here are fearful mainly of wanting to do stuff like that.
Right.
Okay. And you know, that's what I'm thankful for. That's why I'm thankful for someone like you to come in here and to share this with us. Okay.
Hey, what part of Louisville you from?
I grew up in the West End. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you know, before the grace of God, I was that kid. You know what I mean? School was my salvation. Learning, writing, that was my salvation. I was like, all right, so at least I have a place where I belong. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be able to say that to everyone. So there's a place for you as a person, whoever you are, whatever you've done. There's a place for you. You belong. You count. You matter. You're important. You know? And it was interesting the phrase you said, we're not special. You are. You know, in that way that everyone is.
I think at like 7, I had just got out of like the foster homes and the home of innocence, and I was coming back to my neighborhood. Even though I was really, really soft and really, really sensitive, I always was like, I don't care. Like if I had a pull string on my back when I was a kid, that was like my phrase, I don't care. I don't care. You know, parent-teacher conference is my main phrase, I don't care. I don't care. Really, I did. I just wanted to be hard. I wanted to be hard so that, you know, nothing could hurt me. My bag, an old burlap sack soaked in kerosene, a toxin meant to help keep out vermin. Snakes and rats that seek to devour what's stored within. I lug it around and no one notices my treasures or the patches. Times I try to carry other people's junk and almost lost my stuff. Hopes and dreams. People I lost once are well kept, along with the things I want to leave but can't forget. Sharp objects, grease, regrets. When filled with the feathers I flew, when weighed with stones I wish to release you. Pleasures and pains. My heart's a bag, an old burlap sack soaked in kerosene. A toxin, but flammable. You know what I mean?
I think we're all trying to, in some way, shape, or form, escape suffering, and however we define suffering or whatever suffering is. And suffering, you can't say one's worse than the other. It's suffering, and we want an escape from the suffering. And so living in your imagination and helps us do that.
You know, we're born to be creative. It is our human birthright to tell our stories, to write our stories. So by learning these skills and techniques and the ability to put one's own story into a comprehensive, cohesive, accessible narrative can give, not only is it therapeutic, but it can also afford someone an opportunity to think about their lives, you know, in a kind of a 360-degree, you know, circumference, and to just really feel, you know, differently about their choices, I hope.
My name is Ryan Keith Lumpkin, inmate number 163545. I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago. I became involved in the street life at an early age, 12 years old to be exact. In the midst of all the Chicago madness, I became obsessed with guns, so much so that I owned 32 of them by the age of 17. That obsession ultimately led me to a prison sentence, where I'm serving 15 years at 85% for first-degree manslaughter.
For me, the most difficult thing about being in prison is being away from my family and friends, the ones who genuinely care about me. Also, some of the small things that people tend to take for granted. like taking a bath or something as small as opening a refrigerator. You just have to keep yourself busy with productive things. I engulfed myself in the Mutts with Manners dog program. First thing in the morning, I get my dog up and take it out to use the restroom, and then we come back in for feeding time, and we go back out for a little bit of quality time. I introduce you to a life I used to lead. Mama did the best she could, youngest seed overseas, or so it seemed. Packing military heat in Chirac, used a snowball stand to camouflage, selling crack. I never wanted for nothing, but still chose the streets, cause I was fascinated with Perk, Minnow, and B, imitating their every move, and I did it well, and did a good job of hiding, mama couldn't tell. 1,000 pardons to you, father. I know I was a mess. 1,000,000 apologies, mama, for causing you stress. I got that street life running through my veins, but I'm trying to change my lifestyle, cause we all know that things just ain't the same. I hear the street life calling my name, but I'm trying to change my lifestyle, thinking of all the things it's done to me.
Programs, they don't change everyone. Sometimes it's not the first time they go through a program. They may have to go through it 5 times before it actually catches. The old concept was just incarcerate them, keep them in jail, keep them in prison, then when they come out they'll be different. Well, we know that doesn't work. The new concept is that we rehabilitate them, we reprogram their minds, we get them to empty out what is there and send them back out with a new way of thinking and living each and every day.
My name is Bianca Spriggs. I'm a local writer, Kentucky writer, poet, Appalachian poet.
Just scoot your feet and go real slow. It's going to
But I do this work because for me this is a neglected demographic of writers who deserve to have the capacity to learn, to tell their own narratives in their own words, and I help, facilitate with learning techniques and showing them the range of poems and types of writings and introducing them to other writers and whatnot to encourage them to find their own voices. I'm sorry, will you repeat the question? The doors were clanging. Hello, how are y'all doing?
Great.
Good to meet you, I'm Bianca. How y'all brothers doing today? Good. What are your names?
David.
David. What is it? Jonathan. Ryan.
Mellow.
What is it?
Mellow.
Mellow? Okay, like yellow? I'm a local poet. I'm an Appalachian poet. Have you heard that term before? Appalachia is it's a term coined by a brother named Frank X. Walker. To represent people of color living in the Appalachian region. His ancestors, hauled by blood, followed these root walkers from swamp to summit, and like the trees they remained, stayed by his body long enough for a whole mountain to be named black as a bullet in skin. All right, so let's look at the technique of the poem, because the content is very intense. But when you break a line, it forces the reader to kind of move to the next line very quickly.
I like put my feelings down in a rhythm and start making different songs and stuff. So I'm an amateur. That's what I call myself. I've only been doing this for like a year and a half, but
It's funny because like you said, you feel like an amateur. So I've been writing for probably my whole life, but seriously for about 15 years, and I still feel like an amateur. So don't don't worry about it. It never goes away. Hopefully you found something useful out of today, and just keep your pens moving, and I'll do the same.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, take care.
My name is Romello Rice. I'm a 19-year-old father of one. I got 3 brothers and 4 sisters. I got locked up when I was 16 on the charge of murder and robbery, 1st degree. And I got convicted at the age of 17 on a 20-year sentence, 85% mandatory.
How much did it hurt your family for your sentence and being locked up?
I mean, it hurt my family a lot because they expected more out of me, way more than I expected for myself. And now I got a son that's grow up without a father, basically continuing the cycle, another statistic.
How does being creative make you feel?
Being creative makes me feel like I stand out, important, different than a lot of people. I look around and see distorted faces, not a smiling sight, just a facade that eagerly show they have a combative nature. I'm in the jungle where the lions roam. 80% of the men I'm surrounded with come from broken homes. To society, we just statistics, but in the court of law, we label menders. And that's how I got my lengthy sentence, but back to the task at hand. I'm in a place where gorillas beat their chests freely, but what do you expect?
That's 1 test off stroke center. And Bill Candy on ground for 1.
In prison, in the summertime, you go out, play handball, you pretend you're free on the streets. You know what I'm saying? People play out all these little dreams or whatever. Fall, you still get your days, but you have your rainy days, you can't come outside. In the wintertime, it gets real. You locked down a lot, you in the cell a lot, you're with these people, and you realize, you know what? I do not like this damn guy sleeping next to me. You don't realize you like him until you're around him all the time. You're like, I really don't like that guy. And then it's like, it gets like, you get compact in there, man. You just want to get out. You get tired of being cold. You get tired of being in there. And I'll be damned, that's when I do my best writing. When it gets real and I'm in that pressure cooker. And it's like, there it is, man. You know, there it is.
I'm definitely feeling playwriting more so than the poems, because at first I felt like, you know, the poems I can do this, but like with the playwrights, I mean, it opened up a whole other world.
Did anybody put me out, mama? I messed up.
Andrew's writing plays, which I think is great for him. I think it's a great way for him to be able to express what's going on with him artistically and actually be able to get his voice out there.
A grave.
Shall I live?
Enough.
It's great, guys. It's great. And if I can just help lead that out. Oh, this is so and so and so. Just be a facilitator for that. I'm proud just to be in the room.
Right now, the whole line to the speeches.
I met Andrew while working with the Voices Inside project or program, and you know, his plays are amazing. The ones that I've read so far have all been above what I would have expected.
What I think is great about Andrew is he does what all great playwrights do. He writes what he knows.
You seen somebody yet?
I'm looking for a smoker. Now, I've seen several crackheads running around, hair mess, filthy clothes, look like they work construction.
What difference does it make?
When I'm writing, I block everything else out. People talking to me. I almost got to the point where I can almost hold a conversation and still write a play. And sometimes when people talking to me, I kind of use it. Somebody might say something funny and it goes into dialogue.
You can do business with a smoker. You can treat them, but crackheads are done for.
I don't see how you do that shit.
You do the same thing?
Not like that. I mean, I can pick out a crackhead like anybody else from the hood. But your ass, you getting all the details by looking at them hillbillies through a window.
As far as the story goes, you know, Louisville Sky is about these two people in a trap house, which is like where you're in this house and you cornered it off and this is where y'all sell drugs out of.
Andrew's plays have real people. Now, they may not be people that you encounter, like, you know, most people don't encounter drug dealers on a regular basis. There are people with weaknesses. There are people, you know, with psychological problems. There are people who are just going through stuff in life.
Could you keep it down? I'm trying to watch this movie.
The dummy box is opposed to this game I'm giving you for free.
It's about them, and this one guy has this fascination with this movie, October Sky, which by all rights should be out of his realm because it's not culturally centered in where he's from. He has no way to relate to it.
Someone could look up and see exactly what I saw.
To everyone else, it was just a light in the sky.
Let them have outer space. We got rock and roll.
But to Homer Hickam, it was the future.
Sputnik is a milestone in history.
And just maybe a way out.
This teacher, she comes along and inspires him, and then
they start making rockets, and him and all his friends get scholarships. They make it out of Hillbilly Holler. He works for NASA, makes it that proud, yada yada yada, the end.
So what? You don't like the movie?
It's alright, but I mean, you talking like it's your favorite movie. You don't even know what it's about.
I mean, I grew up in a similar environment. I think really when you grow up in an impoverished area with a dad who's there, but you know, not really there, or one parent's missing, or there's all these different circumstances, I think you end up very close to being pushed to where Andrew ended up. You know, easily I could have seen my life if one thing had gone different. I could be the one in the Voices Inside program trying to write plays while Andrew's acting them out, coming to visit. I feel like the guy in the movie sometimes, but I can also see I'm already in the mines. Deep and dark. You are too, my nigga. And I'll follow you anywhere. I just hope you start making rockets soon.
And it's about finding those parallels. And I wrote that at a parallel to my life about me culturally in this hood, and I'm finding beauty in this other stuff, and you find that it relates to your life.
Sometimes you just can't listen to what anybody else says. You just gotta listen inside.
Reading Top Dog right now. Susan Lloyd Parks, who would say she's my favorite writer, but only read like 2 of her plays, but Venus and this, it's pretty interesting.
What speaks to you about reading those plays?
Yeah, I think mostly it's like, it helps me be able to tell my story too, you know what I mean? You know, just different type of experiences shape, no matter what type of, what I'm writing, no matter whatever it is, whether it be a story, whether it be a poem, you know what I'm saying? I'm just basically sharing an experience from my life, you know what I'm saying, to shape me as a person in one way from another. That's like helped me connect with other people.
Andrew doesn't have access to the internet. So the volunteers give him lists of festivals that he can submit to, which he does on a regular basis. He's very prolific.
I'm mailing this out immediately, ASAP.
I've been mailing them out to theater festivals, San Diego, New Mexico, all over the place, Lexington. I sent the last one, Promised Land, I sent that to New York, to the T-Tribe Freedom Festival. I think that's right up my alley, Freedom Festival. I'm locked up. Who else better speak about freedom than me?
writing is a new dream for me, you know what I'm saying? It's new hope, you know what I'm saying? It's a new form of expression. I mean, as a kid, I mean, you got basketball, you play basketball, I want to play in NBA, you know what I mean? And I want to do this, I want to do that. And then it's like, I want to write, you know, I want to be a writer because, I mean, that's the ultimate expression. That's what you want to do. Yeah, I'm definitely sweating the mailbox. I'm checking the mail every night.
Hey, fuck you. What? Yeah. Camera up.
As far as writing goes, I don't know nobody come on up that wrote anything. Period. Like nobody in my family is really writers per se. But in a place like this, it's imperative. You learn who you are by creating things. It's a necessity. You know what I mean? Because other than that, you know what I mean, you're just existing. It's a lot of the extracurricular things you get, the distractions of the world, I mean, are gone. So it's just you. You know what I mean? So the only way to, you have to create. You have to, like, you'd be surprised, everybody does something. Seen guys build stuff with popsicle sticks, some amazing things with popsicle sticks, and draw and write and play handball.
Is this a conceptual piece?
You know, and a lot of people want to be, I mean, it's, you know, in the Midwest.
My name is Yvette Dumeng. The T. Schreiber Studios, it's a theater that I've studied here. I studied here for years, and I've directed for them before, and so they said, oh, would you like to direct? And I said, sure, and I said, I don't have time to read any of the plays. Can you send me the play that you think I would do well directing? And they sent me Promised Land by Andrew Phillips. They sent me the one that they knew I would love.
It's a letter from T. Schreiber. We got to play in New York City. Like a real production. Yes. Hyped about that.
I think it's a huge win to have a play produced in New York. New York is a mecca of anything entertainment, really. So to have a play put on full-out production in New York is a huge deal.
T. Schreiber Theater sent me this letter, tell me about who my director is, Yvette. I'm gonna go with Dumb Meg.
Does my forehead look shiny? Can you make me look less ugly? Hi, I'm calling to speak with an inmate, Andrew Phillips, and we have an appointment at 3 o'clock. Yes. Still waiting. Thank you. Everyone sounds like they're from Kentucky.
Hello?
Hi, is this Robby?
No, this is Andrew.
Oh, this is Andrew?
Yeah, this is Andrew.
Oh, Andrew!
Andrew, I am so happy to hear your voice. It took me forever to get through.
I am so thrilled to be directing your play.
It makes me want to cry. It's a very moving play. I don't
know how you did it, but it's
very personal and very beautiful, and people have been
loving it.
Yeah.
I want to know more about you. This is what's exciting about it, you know.
Well, thank you so much for directing my play.
It's been every time we rehearse, I'm in tears.
From beginning to end, it moves. It's so well written, and
So how long did it take you to write it?
Oh, well, I guess like the first draft, it took me maybe like a couple sit downs. But I think I rewrote it like 3 to 4 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had to like, I mean, that's really my mom in there. You know what I mean? It's really me. You know, that's really what we...
And I could feel that,
and the actors playing these roles have been, they've been really delving into it, and I'm really thrilled to have been chosen to direct it.
Yeah. Well,
so it's a very personal play, and I could
feel that. The writing, it moves. It doesn't. It feels just right.
It feels like you really.
You wrote it with all your heart.
Yeah, it's like, I guess like when I'm writing like people that's real, writing myself, writing my mother, and writing about a real situation, it's almost like, I mean, it's like memories. But you know, you know, you don't want to tell that person, you don't want to make that person glorious, so you give them the raw person exactly who they are. So that's what I try to do, give them the person with all their faults, and you know what I mean.
Boy, ain't nobody gonna listen to you talk to me like that. Hell, I'm the mama for crying out loud.
Where's your insulin, needles, blood testing kit? I see you take a shot today.
In the glove box. You can go check Doubting Thomas. Nobody need to be poking themselves every 5 minutes.
You can't just keep that kind of stuff in there like that.
I ain't worried about that.
You gotta keep that refrigerated.
I'm fine.
That's medication.
Jehovah's got me.
What if it got hot in the car?
He'll protect me.
Have you thought about
Bible
that?
says he will
Nobody want to hear what the Bible says. That's why Uncle Melvin put you out. Because he didn't want to hear it no more. They don't want you throwing your know-it-all crap in his face all the time.
Boy, didn't nobody put me out. Now, who told you all that? Your sisters?
It don't matter. He don't want you out here no more. So now you're living on the streets?
Honey, nobody listen to what your sisters say.
Promised Land is about, you know, a boy on the run, goes out to see his mom, and, you know, to find options, and he finds out that his options is even limited where he goes there.
You can go back and you tell those loudmouth sisters of yours,
I'm
you
not
tell them I'm
going
not
back.
coming back. Well, I ain't leaving. I got just as much right to that big house as Melvin has. I'm gonna be right here. And you go back and tell your
I'm
sisters.
not going back. I can't go back.
Does your sisters put you out again? What kind of family have we turned into?
Didn't nobody put me out? I messed up.
Messed up like what? Like Judah?
I don't got no kids, Mama.
Or was it like the Israelites? Because baby, they stole constantly.
Like David. Kind of like David.
This next play is by Andrew Phillips. It's called Promised Land. And in March of this year, it won a full production at T. Schreiber Theater in New York City. It's starring Andrew Phillips and Erica Lee.
They put you out too? What kind of family have we turned into if your sisters put you out?
Didn't nobody put me out, Mama. I messed up.
Messed up like how, baby? Like Judah?
Like Cain. Like Cain, Mama.
I shot.
Who?
You wanna know him? I barely knew him.
And it was, I think like that moment when I say like, I shot him, that's the moment to me where it kind of blurs to reality a little bit. In that moment, it kind of gets fuzzy a little bit for me, and that's why I don't really like acting in it. I don't like doing it.
Who?
You wouldn't know him. A lot of brother knew him.
It was stupid neighborhood shit. And there ain't no changing what I've done. There ain't no explanation. This ain't no candy bar and feel better or some apology I can make.
Well, why, baby, why?
It don't matter. They'll come for me and I know what they're gonna... I'll spend the rest of my life in prison. Or most of it.
You know, it's about a boy made a big mistake.
Yeah.
One of them life-altering mistake. Now he's got decisions to make.
I can't stay here. I have to go, Mama. He's gonna call the cops on us and they'll be looking for me.
You think I'll let them take you? You know I won't. Oh, Tony. You gotta look past all that's going on around you. You know, you gotta like when you were in that star tent and you think you saw the stars. Now look now. Up at this sky. Ain't it a beautiful, baby?
You know, it ties it to me because I was that kid. You know, the world on my back, but I'm standing at all the beautiful nighttime sky. That's crazy.
Well, you have me crying here, so I think...
I thank you so much, and I love the fact what they're doing. You know what I mean? I love you guys.
And like I said, continue writing. You're a very talented man.
Thank you, Kat.
Bye-bye. Bye, Andrew. We'll talk soon, I hope.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right, thank you.
And I don't know how to hang up. I don't want to hang up, and I don't know. I hate to speak. All right.
He didn't want to hang up.
That was amazing.
So,
she had a lot of great things to say about what I wrote and.
To have someone who hasn't done this kind of work before do what he's done with the plays that he's written is just outstanding.
I want to write. I want to be a writer because, I mean, that's the ultimate expression. That's what you want to do.
Ain't it a beautiful, baby?
I introduced you to a life I used to lead. Mama did the best she could, youngest seed overseas, or so it seemed. Packing military heat in Chirac, used a snowball stand to camouflage, selling crack. I never wanted for nothing, but still chose the streets, cause I was fascinated with Perk, Minnow, and B, imitating their every move, and I did it well, and did a good job of hiding, mama couldn't tell. I hear the street light calling my name, but I'm trying to change my lifestyle, thinking of all the things it's done to me. I may never be forgiven and I understand. I feel at least I need a chance to be a better man. My victim, my prayers remain with you and it's clear as a crystal, I know. I may never be forgiven and I understand. I feel at least I need a chance to be a better man. I may never be forgiven and I understand. I feel at least I need a chance to be a better man.